Hello everybody, and thanks for joining in. Today we're going to work or continue to work on just being present for our practice, for ourselves, and I of course will help remind you of that throughout today's practice. But why is this important? And I believe this sense of presence is important just for our yoga practice, so that we're not going to be doing these poses and the breathing techniques sort of automatically or robotically. We're going to really get the fullest benefit by just stepping right into our presence. And I use that word presence interchangeably with mindfulness, but mindfulness again is such an overuse, well, not overused, but it means a particular thing. And what I mean when I say mindfulness, I'm talking about that sense of presence. And I also believe that all of us are really doing yoga for sort of a general, maybe sense of physical health and mental health and emotional health as well. And so what we do on this yoga mat, yes, it's important, but it's even more important that we can take that with us in our everyday lives. So let's just keep working on this sense of presence throughout our practice. You will need or will benefit today if you have a yoga brick. If you don't have a brick, don't worry. You might want to grab a nice thick book, like a dictionary-sized book, and it may give you some benefit as we progress through the practice today. And I'm going to give you the opportunity to get those things, a brick or a book. You can even get just a simple little kitchen or dining chair if you'd like, and set it aside. And then we're all going to start on our backs today. So for now, you can take your brick or book and set it out of the way, and let's all come to reclining on our backs. So just stretch your legs out, stretch your arms out, and just for a few moments, just feel your body on the floor. You're not doing anything except noticing what this feels like. And notice the way your body feels so stable being supported along the floor. And if you'd like, you can have just a little stretch now, especially if you've been running around all day, or if you've just got out of bed. It's nice to have just a little stretch, just move around in a really intuitive way that feels good to you right now. And after just a few moments, you'll come back again to that position of arms along the sides of the body and legs extended. And feel the heaviness of your body for a moment. See if you can get rid of any tension in your face. And then when you're ready, we'll shift our attention to our breathing. Lots of times it's just easier to breathe lying down. You don't have to use any of your postural muscles. You can just focus on the breathing muscles and the core muscles. And so when you, the next time you inhale, just notice, of course, that you are inhaling, and try to lengthen it like we have been doing all along. Lengthen and soften the breath. And let the inhales and exhales have an equal length, trying to extend as much as you can comfortably. And then the next time you inhale, try to isolate that breath just in the chest and rib cage. For most people, this is quite easy. So you're trying to just feel it in the chest area. And notice it's long and slow, like you've just created it, but you're also trying now to expand the rib cage when you inhale. And then you're just deflating the rib cage when you exhale. Just do this a couple more times, really full, long, slow breathing, and it's all in your rib cage and in your chest. So you're feeling it from the collarbones down to the bottom of your ribs, just a big expansion when you inhale, And you just let it all deflate, compress when you exhale. And then taking your awareness lower into the abdomen, we're going to try the same thing, and we're going to try to isolate it just in the abdomen so that the next time you inhale, you feel the belly rise up. And when you exhale, you feel the belly deflate down, decompress. And just notice if it's more difficult for you to breathe in the abdominal area. And try to get a sense, just like you did in the rib cage. Of course, you might be able to feel easily the abdomen rising up. But can you feel the abdomen rising up, but also imagine that it's inflating out to the sides a bit as well. And just like that, just a couple more really full breaths right in your abdominal area. And try to get rid of the staleness every time you exhale. And just really softly and easily now, we're going to try to combine those two so that when you inhale the next time, you're going to feel it in the chest, in the rib cage. And before that inhale is completed, you're going to take it right down to the abdomen. So imagine that your whole torso is just inflating when you inhale, and see if you can feel that. And then when you exhale, you feel that firming up in your tummy, and then the rib cage deflates, and see if you can feel that as well. Just 3 more times like this. You're inhaling in the whole of your torso, from your collarbones down to the lower ribs, all the way down to your pubic bone. You're inhaling. And then when you exhale, you're getting rid of that staleness as best you can. Without strain, you're just letting the tummy deflate, and then letting the ribs deflate, the chest deflate. And with your full presence, 1 more time like that, really full, long, slow breath. And see if you can continue that breathing pattern, just focusing on that as a priority. Long, slow, really full breaths. And then notice again the stability of your body on the floor. And what we are going to attempt to do as we begin to move is start to feel the same internal stability, even if we start to move, even when we start to move. So we'll start to incorporate more and more of our core muscles as we move. And so if you will, just bring your legs a little bit, possibly closer together if they're separated, the heels down, move your arms right up over your head. Maybe your thumbs are down behind you. And then when you exhale, you're moving the arms right back to the sides of the body, bending the knees, putting the soles of the feet on the floor. Next exhale, you're bringing those knees closer into the body. Arms are to the sides of the body. As you inhale, you're extending the legs upward towards the ceiling, press out through the balls of the feet. And as you exhale, you're bringing the knees down. Extend that exhale so you can put the hands on your knees and assist just a little more the thighs coming closer into the body, and complete that exhale. And then inhale, arms come back to the sides of the body and the legs extend again. Nice long full inhale. As you exhale, bending the knees. And continue that exhale as you just have a little assist with your hands, bringing the thighs closer in towards your body. A couple more times like that. As you inhale, stretching the legs up, extending the legs up, pressing out through the balls of the feet. And as you exhale, knees come down towards the chest, and you just press a little bit to encourage the thighs closer in towards your chest. And again, inhaling and exhaling. And from this position, go ahead and just let your left leg come out and stretch out. And then you've just got your hands interlocked right behind, in front rather, of the right shin. Just on your next exhale, you're bringing the thigh closer in. And as you inhale, you're trying to stretch that left leg out a little bit more. Just feel any little sensation that causes. And see, can you hold that just for a couple of breaths? No strain. Just long, slow breaths, and just feel the sensation that the mindful pose causes. And then from here, just let your left hand cup the right knee and stretch the right arm out to the side, to the right side. And just on the exhale, have a little twist here, sideline twist. And just pause in this twist and just encourage the right shoulder blade a little closer to the floor. And it might help if you just turn your head a little bit towards the right. Another full breath. Feel anything that's happening in your body. And then on the next exhale, let's go ahead and come out of that. And once you're right there to center, stretch the right leg up, press out through the heel, and feel the whole length of the back of the leg. If it's helpful, you can interlock your hands behind the thigh. All you're trying to do is press out through the heel a little bit and extend the length from the heel to your sits bone on the right. And then you're gonna let go. And on the exhale, let that right leg come to the floor. A little engagement right here in your core. And on your next exhale, bend the left knee and encourage the left knee as close in as you can towards the chest. And you can interlock your hands, give that a little assist. Next, exhale, go ahead and press that thigh, that left knee as close in towards the body as you can. And then on the inhale, focus on extending that right leg. The toes are pointing up towards the ceiling. And just toggle your awareness between inhales and exhales like that. As you exhale, left thigh comes closer in. And inhale, you're pressing out through that right leg. And just have another long, slow breath in this position. And then you're just going to cup the left knee with the right hand and stretch the left arm out to the side. And on the exhale, let that left leg go right over the midline of the body. And you're just in a little bit of a twist here, as much as feels good to your body. And just hold it for a couple of breaths. Notice any sensation on that left side. And then on an exhale, we're going to come back up again to center. And once you're at center, you're going to extend the left leg up, press out through the heel. And again, remember, you always have this option of holding on to that back thigh. And you're pressing out through the heel, so you create length from that left heel all the way down to the left sits bone. Feel that. And it's on an exhale, you're going to release little core strength right in the lower abdomen. Very good. And from here, let's go ahead and bend each knee. Put the sole of each foot on the floor. Get those heels as close in towards your hips as you can. And cozy those elbows right close into the body. Little rolling, rocking on your pelvis now, on your sacrum. So on the inhale, you can keep your arms right alongside the torso. And I'm just going to move my arms out of the way so you can see. Here's the inhale phase where you could even probably stick the back of your hand in your lumbar, around your lumbar spine, and there'd be a space there. On the exhale, you're going to roll the tailbone towards the floor and the low back presses onto the floor. So just a couple breaths like that. And just get your arms involved now so that as you inhale, and you can rise up with the hips and the arms come up over the head. And as you exhale, the arms come back down again. Your breath is so long and so slow, so your movement is corresponding to your breath. Remember, the hips rise when you inhale, at the same time the arms rise. And maybe as the arms go over the head, you can push into your feet and lift up enough that you actually feel weight onto the backs of your shoulders. Very nice. The next time you exhale, you're going to leave the arms to the sides of the body. And then when you inhale, you're just going to lift up the hips. And that way you'll have a little leverage with your arms. You're going to try to push a little more into the arms as you lift the hips, maybe a little higher. And just hold this in a comfortable way. You want to press into both feet evenly so the knees don't splay out, right? And from here, on your next inhale, really root into your right heel and come right up onto your left tippy toes and really press into the right heel. And keep the hips as high as you can. And just hold this for another full breath. And then switch sides. So you're going to drop the left heel, and on your next inhale, you're going to rise up on with the right heel. Dig right into the left heel and lift your hips as high as you can. And let's come back and forth just like that for just a couple more breaths. So you're dropping the right heel, and on your next inhale, you're lifting up on the left heel, and you're pressing down vigorously with the right heel. You can feel it even in your gluteal muscle. Just like that, dropping the left heel and rising up with the right heel. And really rooting down now with that left heel. And just feel the effects. You might even feel it at the top of your groin or the top of your hip joint. Lovely. And then the next time you exhale and the heel is dropped to the floor, on your next exhale, let's just bring the body back to the floor, the back to the floor. And once that happens, bring both knees towards the chest, and you can separate those thighs a little bit. Just have a nice exhale where you bring those thighs closer in, just so it's comfortable. If it's all right, you're going to separate the thighs a little wider. That feels okay. We're just going to rock side to side. And really get a sense that movement is easy and that it feels really good. That's all you're trying to accomplish right now. Linking your breath with movement. Really enhancing your presence and just feeling the sensation these little movements cause in the body. And then coming to stillness, bringing those thighs together. Let's cross at the ankles and have just a little rocky rolling on the spine. Dip your chin towards the chest. Try to do this a few times. And then eventually just come on up to a seated posture here. When you come to your seated posture, bring the feet a little away from the hips. Make sure those shins are parallel. Come up on, have your fingertips right behind your hips here. And then press into the hands and really lift your heart. Maybe set back just a little bit on your sits bones. And see what it feels like to come into your version of Navasana, boat pose. And so you might want to, using your core strength, bring your hands now around the outside of your knees and just hold on. And can you maybe lift your shins to parallel? If that doesn't work very well for you, you can always bring the toes to the floor. Just lift your heels and practice keeping length from pubic bone to breastbone and core strength. This might be your boat pose. If you can go further, of course, you're going to bring your shins more parallel. Oh, it's a little bit of a balance. make sure you feel the core strength if you continue. You don't have to continue. If you'd like to try, you're bringing your arms out. And whatever version you're in, you're going to try 3 long, slow breaths. Once you've done that, bring the feet back. And let's go ahead and just come on into a tabletop position from here. And set those hands up as you know how to do. Nice separated fingers, looking down between the hands. And knees are under your hips. As you exhale next, just let your hips come back towards your heels, elbows to the floor. And take that exhale all the way as long as you can, so you can let your low back and your neck relax. And when you inhale, you're pressing into the tops of the feet and the shins and lifting back. As you get there, you're just pressing more into the inner hands and broadening the collarbones. Exhaling, hips back towards the heels, elbows to the floor. Nice long slow breaths, and let the movement be slow as well. So remember, the movement is following your own breathing as closely as possible. And on the inhale is when you're finding your inner hands and just broadening those collarbones. Maybe looking forward just a little bit. So the next time you've exhaled and you've sunk into with hips closer to your heels, just pause there for a moment and then start to walk your hands a little further away. We're going to come into a little bit of an extended child's pose now. As you stretch out through the arms, come as far as you can and just notice the stretch in your upper arms, and then maybe you can tent out your fingers. Head and neck is relaxed. Your head almost certainly won't touch the floor. That's fine. And what you're trying to feel is as much length as you can in your spine. So point your tailbone maybe another centimeter back towards the wall behind you. And then on an inhale, just look forward. Press into those TP fingers, and then on the exhale, walk over the hands to the right. Hips stay kind of square, so you're just having a little side bend to the right. And then release and relax as much as you can. You're relaxing the head and neck. And feel the stretch on the left side body. And then inhale, looking up and walking your hands back to center. And continue as you're ready. You want to make sure you have length, and then you're going over to the left. And you're releasing as much as you can. And of course, now you're feeling it on the right side body. Relaxing the face and just feeling pure sensation. And looking up, walk back to center. And slowly, as if you're trying to pull the floor towards you, come on back to a tabletop position. Almost certainly your hands are already a little further ahead than your shoulders. If they're not, make sure they are. And tuck your toes under, push the floor away, and let's come on into a downward facing dog. So, if this is your first downward facing dog of the day or of the week, you want to really pedal it out. And you want to feel all the sensations and just see, can I just be present with this, and can I have long, slow breaths, and maybe these strong sensations will diminish. Maybe I can relax my head and neck a little bit more. Very nice. And if all is well from here, we're going to inhale and just come into a plank pose. Remember, when you come into your plank, the upper arms are isometrically coming closer and closer together. They're not actually moving, just the muscles are getting really strong. Very good. And from this plank pose, we're going to drop the right knee to the floor. We're going to just pivot that right shin out a little bit so it can really hold us and keep our balance. We're going to come into a little bit of a gate pose, which is a version of side plank. So from here, the right hand, right knee is in alignment. You might want to bring that left leg back as long as you can keep your balance. And then you can rise that left arm up towards the ceiling. So just be here for a couple of breaths and feel the length from the right hand pressing into the floor and the left arm pressing up towards the ceiling. When you inhale next, go ahead and just let that upper arm go headward, more parallel with your ear. And you can be here for a couple of breaths if you want to have a little strengthening movement, not required, but if you'd like to. On the exhales, you're going to bring the arm back, pointing towards the ceiling, and raise the left leg. And on the inhale, back like that. So you're either keeping the body in this stretched position, or you're moving in and out of it. And when you've had enough, you're just going to windmill down. Left hand comes back, left knee goes back, and we're going to come back into a downward facing dog. So you're all still with me, I hope. And have that lovely couple of breaths in downward facing dog, and just perfect your dog as much as you can. Just allow the head and neck to relax. Allow those upper arms to, or the inner elbow creases rather, to point forward. So just feel the shoulder blades in downward facing dog trying to come a little more towards the sides. It's one of the only poses I'll ask you to do that. And then we're going to power up a little more for plank pose. So find your inner hands and inhale, start to bring the hips forward. Your arms are so strong. And then from plank pose, we're going to come down to do gate pose, side plank on the other side. Left knee comes down. Left shin might pivot out a little bit just for your balance. And you can bring the right leg right in line with left wrist, left knee. And then you can inhale up nice and safely. You want to feel the length from hand to hand. And if all is well, then you can inhale and bring that upper arm more parallel with the ear. And this might be where you'd like to stretch and just be for a few breaths. If you want to be a little more active on the exhale, you're raising the back leg and the upper arm. And on the inhale, you're stretching back out again. And when you have had enough of that, you're just going to windmill down, hand to the floor, knee to the floor, and one more downward facing dog. From your downward facing dog, just let knees touch the floor. And come on back into your version of pose of a child. And just enjoy the little cocooning effect of this pose for a few breaths. And again, focus really deeply on your own breathing pattern. And you're feeling that breath from the inside out. Relieving any tension that might be in your jaw, in your throat, in your chest, and anywhere in your face. Just let it go. And from here, we're just going to very slowly come in from this pose of a child into kneeling, tucking the toes under. And we're going to try to come into our version of a squat. Of course, if you have any hip joint problems or any knee problems, this might not be accessible, but most of us will need to separate our feet a little bit, and that makes it a little more doable. And the idea, and again, this may never happen, but the idea is to try to get the heels as close to the floor as you can without falling backwards. And just experiment. Sometimes it helps to really get those knees underneath your underarms, upper arms as best you can. And perhaps you can bring your folded hands to the heart and you're just trying to get a little more vertical in the torso. It's not always easy. And if you're in any kind of discomfort, of course, you don't have to stay. And just come on back with your hands to the floor if you, in fact, you're still in the squatting position. And from here, we're just going to try to come to standing. So remember, you just make sure as you stand, you're using the legs. Try to come in with to a really wide forward bend. Wide meaning arms further ahead than your feet. And then you can just slowly start to walk the hands back. Feel a real heaviness in your heels. Release into your forward bend. Then I want you to lower your hips. You need to bend your knees and again use your leg strength. Set the weight back into the heels and put one hand on top of each thigh. And from here, let's all come to standing. So in our standing position, let's just try to really create some warmth before we do any standing poses. So can you just begin to move one leg, bend one leg, then the other? And then can you do this really quickly, almost like a vibration? Sometimes it takes just a little bit of time to get your head around that. And the idea is to start to get as loose as you can and just let that movement come through the body so that eventually you can get the entire body to vibrate. So you're by yourself at your house and try not to be shy and just allow the body to vibrate. It's nice to start to feel a little warmth before you stop. And slow it down and come on back to stillness. And then from here, let's find our mountain pose, our Tadasana. Any little movement that you still feel you need, you can do that now. Coming into the full expression of your Tadasana. Remember, you do want a little sense of the core stability. So you want the stability as if you were lying on the floor like we did in the beginning, but of course you're completely vertical. So you do have to have this lower part of your abdomen pulled in just a little bit. So try to feel that. You can put your hands on your tummy if you need to. Just feel it's not extreme. It's just enough to hold you up completely safely. And with that little core engagement, it's easier to create a little space in your low back. If you've got this pulled in just a little bit, the tailbone can easily point a little more towards your heels, right? So here's your Tadasana. Your both feet are parallel, all 10 toes facing the front. This time as you inhale, let's just let the arms come straight up over your head. You're getting just as tall as you can. When you get to the top with the arms, you're pressing even more into the heels, into the feet, and you're reaching up, and you're as long as you can get right here. From this position, as you exhale, let's go over and do a side bend. So a nice little shape of the half moon, reaching up. Maybe it feels better to press a little more firmly into the left foot. Just experiment here. You're going to hold it for another breath. Let the head and neck relax. Then as you inhale next, you're going to come up to the full spinal extension that you can manage. And as you exhale, you're just going to go over to the left a little bit, as much as is comfortable. Remember, you're long first, and then you go over. And just pause for a couple of breaths and see how far you can go into this comfortably with length. And then you're inhaling, reaching back up again. As you exhale, just simply bring the arms down. Slightly different vinyasa. As you inhale, you're just bringing the arms straight up, feeling the length, pressing into the feet and reaching up at the same time when you get to the top. As you exhale, you're just releasing the arms down, nice and easy. And then another breath like that as you inhale. And exhaling the arms down. And then again, this time as you inhale, we're reaching up. And on the exhale, we're going to come right into a forward bend. So as you exhale, yes, the arms come down. You feel heaviness in the feet, a little bend in the knee, and then you start to hinge at the hip. You're aiming for the floor. Fingertips touch the floor. And when you get there, press into those fingertips and inhale, raise your heart. If this is really difficult to get any kind of a semblance of a flat back, remember, you can bring your hands to the ankles, and when you inhale, you can slide the hands up all the way to the lower thigh, and then it's much easier. And then as you exhale, of course, you'll have to slide back down again. As you inhale, you want to poise your weight more into the heels, bend the knees. And on your next inhale, you can press into the feet and sweep up, right? And let's exhale, fold the hands to the heart, and resume everything you know about mountain pose. Exhaling, dropping the hands to the sides of the body so you can inhale, rise up again. Let's try that one more time. As you exhale, you're swan diving for the floor. Knees are bent, so your legs are taking a lot of your weight. Fingertips touch the floor or the tops of your ankles, whichever feels best to you. As you inhale, you're trying to lift the heart and come into a little bit of a flat back. And as you exhale, you're releasing down. And remember, go ahead and take the extra breath that you need to really poise the weight towards the heels, little bend in the knee, and then you're ready that you can really, with leverage, come up. Exhale, fold at the heart. And then let's release, arms to the sides of the body. So from here, I want you to stand on the long aspect of your mat. Just make sure you're safe. You're not going to slide too much. And let's come out. A nice wide stance in the legs. You want to come probably wider than you think. If you've been practicing for a while, bring your arms out into that 5-pointed star. And pretty much you want your feet under your hands, your ankles under your wrists, and see if that's happening. Just have a breath in your 5-pointed star. We're going to transition to Warrior Two. If you'd like, you can even put your hands to the hips to make this happen. And you're going to pivot on the right heel, toes out to the right. And remember the back leg, the left leg, you want to kick the heel back a little bit so the toes begin to point a little more towards the right, just a little bit. And then you can breathe the arms out to the sides. I want you to really check yourself here. I can't see you, so you're going to have to check yourself. As you exhale, bend the right knee. When you come down, you want to sink those sits bones down evenly. So to do that, you're going to have to put weight into the back foot. So let that happen. And then let's release. And let's try it again. So just come in and out. Inhaling the arms back out. As you exhale, bend the front knee. Is that front knee tracking right over the second or third toe? And are you feeling pressure on the little toe side of the back foot so you can come down nice and evenly. Just like that. Another time. If all is well, you can hold this. It's good to hold it for a while. You can come in and out a few more times if you'd like. But eventually, you're trying to hold this pose. If you're holding it, you do want to make sure all of the aspects of the pose are refined in your body. So make sure the front knee isn't tracking forward of your ankle. Make sure you can feel your back gluteal muscle engage. And you feel weight into the back foot, but also, of course, you're feeling it in the front foot. So it's an even balance, but don't lean into the front foot. And feel a little length from the breastbone out to either fingertip. And it's in holding these poses that we really start to build bone density and the muscle strength that sort of compensates for that natural decline as we get older. If you're still okay and you're following along, we're going to come right into Dancing Warrior from here. So the front hand tips upward, and on your next inhale, you're bringing the right arm upward, the back arm comes down, and maybe the back of the hand can just rest on your lumbar spine, and just bring that right arm skyward as much as you can, maybe even into a little bit of a side bend. Just see if you can hold that for a couple of breaths. And when you're ready to release, you're coming right back into Warrior Two. And let's release, arms to the sides, straightening the leg, pivoting that foot over towards the front. And let's come right over to the other side. So this time the left toes become the front toes. You know what to do. The back heel kicks back a little bit. And as and when you're ready, you're going to start coming into Warrior Two on this side, keeping everything you know in place. So the back leg is doing its job. Coming in and out is a really good thing. And each time you will get a sense of, okay, my legs need to be closer together or they need to be further apart to really get the full benefits. Just see which is which for you. Do you need to make any modifications before we go into a hold? And when you're ready, we're going to hold this for several breaths. You're going to have a little check on yourself to make sure the front knee is really stable and it's tracking between the second or third toe, and you're definitely feeling the little toe side of the back foot engaged to the floor, and you feel the back gluteal muscle get a little firmer. And you're having long, slow breaths through the challenge. And when you're ready to move on, the front hand just pivots up. We're going to come right into Dancing Warrior on the inhale. Back hand is resting on your lumbar spine, and you're reaching up with that left arm. Looking up if you can, and just have a couple long, slow breaths. And slowly coming back into your Warrior Two. And let's release. Let's heel and toe. Coming back out until you can hop back together again. Have a couple breaths. And if all is well, your hip joints feel fine and everything feels okay, we're going to go just a little further now. So, what I'd like you to have is your heavy book that hopefully you've got, and your yoga brick, or maybe even your chair. If you've got a chair, you're going to put it right to the top of your mat, just with the legs just off the mat for this. Okay, or the brick is going to go, or the book is going to go to the right side. So from here, a mountain pose, you're going to come back into 5-pointed star. Hands to the hip. We're going to pivot again, right toes out, left toes in. Reach the arms out. Bend the front knee and sink into your version of warrior two. And from here we'll come into extended warrior. So you're gonna legs stay as they are, and with the core and the torso and the arms, you're reaching forward to the right, and then you're going to pivot the hand down. Now, if you have no brick or block, of course you can just rest the elbow or right elbow onto the right knee, but you don't want to lean much weight into it at all. So you might get a little more out of it if you can reach a brick or reach a book or the seat of a chair. And once you've done that, refine the pose a little bit, and then maybe you can breathe the arm up. So just in steps, just feel everything. So eventually you may be able to come into the pose where we can bring that upper arm more parallel with the ear and create lovely length on the whole left side of the body. The feet and legs are doing the work. Remember, you're not leaning heavily into that right arm. Let the legs do the work. When you are ready to come out, just let the arm, that upper arm, pivot, windmill down. And as you use your momentum, you want to dig into that front heel and come back into your warrior two. From here, let's have just a little version of humble warrior. So keeping the position in the legs still, you're bringing the arms back behind you, interlocking your hands, opening up your chest. So those shoulder bones go up, back, and down. Even if you have to bend the elbows, it's fine. You want to have a nice open chest. And possibly from here, as you press into the back foot, you may be able to start to hinge forward. Your chest is aiming somewhere to that front corner of your mat, the front left corner of your mat. And you may be able to just come a little ways, or you may be able to really come down low and bring the arms, those interlocked hands, more facing the ceiling. And all of that has to do with your own flexibility. So as you're on your own, you're going to just really explore here. And you may need to stay. This may be enough, just simply opening up the chest like that and bring those arm bones, shoulder bones rather, up, back, and down. Or maybe just a little bit forward. So you're really focusing on long, slow breaths. And you're working on just exploring how far can I go in this comfortably. When you're ready to come up, just to be safe, dig into that front heel, drop your arms, put the hands to the hips, and really help yourself up with the strength of that front foot, front heel digging into the floor. And then when you come up, pivoting back forward, let's do the same thing to the second side now. So as long as you're all still okay and you're still with me, we'll continue. Coming back into the warrior two. This time the left foot is the front foot. And from the warrior two, we're going to attempt to come into extended warrior. Legs stay steady and strong, and you're working with the torso, core, and arms, and just coming forward a little bit. Again, you're resting elbow to the thigh, or you're coming with the hand to the brick, block, book, or chair. And then you can reach the upper arm over. Everything is still in place with warrior two. So it's a lot to think about. You're making sure that the knee's tracking properly, that front knee. Back foot is still doing its job. The little toe side is still making contact with the floor. And then you might be able to really open up into a lovely, lovely stretch for the right side body. And you're having long, slow breaths. When you've had enough of your extended warrior pose, remember, just windmill down. And you want to use a full body experience and use the momentum of the arms and strength of your legs to lift back up again. And then slowly just interlock your hands behind. Open up the upper chest by rolling those shoulder bones up, back and down. And just finding out where you need to be right now. So it might be enough, remember, just to widen the upper collarbones, or you can come forward if your body says that's okay. And whichever version you're taking, you're having really long, slow breaths. And to come up, go ahead and put your hands to your hips. It might be safest to do that, and you really want to push into the front heel and come back out. First warrior two, and then you're just relaxing, releasing out of the pose. So eventually the toes point back to center, and then you can heel and toe closer together, have a little hop, and come right on back. And for those of us, since we do have a brick or a block, I'd like to have us do a pose called Ardha Chandrasana, or half moon pose. It's a challenging balance pose, so again, let's just play and explore. So from here, if you have a yoga brick, it's much easier because it's light. I like to actually put it in my hand. If you have a heavy book, in fact, you will have to set that down. So I'll be long ways here. So the idea in half moon is you reach down, find the book or the brick or the seat of a chair. And just as a hint, the balance is easier if that brick or book is offset from the right foot a few inches to the right. Okay, just because you'll have better balance that way. And we're just exploring right now. So you're, of course, steadily into the right foot, but you also have some weight into the right hand that's on the brick. And this might be the beginning pose and all you want to do. But eventually, you want to work towards, actually, I can't do it on the mat, sorry. I always practice on a floor, so here we go. What you're wanting to do is open up the torso more towards the front, and you're trying to extend that back leg a little bit. It's okay to keep the front knee a little bit bent, and even if it wobbles and shakes, you're just trying to get a sense of your balance in this pose called Ardha Chandrasana. If you've never done it before, just have a play. And of course, the challenge is always to find the full expression for your body, and then just have a few long, slow breaths. So come on out when you're ready to do that. Again, we're just touching into this today. If you had a really difficult time, there's two suggestions. One of them is to come off your mat. I've always found the mat to be really difficult for myself with balance poses. And the other thing is, I just want to make sure you can see, I don't know if you actually can, but you can get up alongside a wall. And with the wall, if you're balancing on the right side, the wall is to your right. And of course, then you can lean the hip into the wall just a little bit. And I think I'm off camera, but hopefully you get the idea. And we have to do the pose now on the second side. So, remember, if you've got the brick, you can actually hold it in your hand and just place it where it feels like it would be the best balance for yourself. But this is all exploring. The fact is, you don't know day by day until you actually get into the pose how it's going to pan out. So slowly the weight goes into the left leg, a little bit into the left arm. You're bringing the right leg back. And as you feel ready, remember you can always move the block a little bit more out towards the left as you need to. And eventually you want to move, or rather reach the upper arm upward and open up the chest towards the front of the room. So as you can see, it's a very advanced and challenging balance pose. So just play for another few breaths. If you've come completely out of it, maybe try to come back into it again. And here's a challenge. Can you relax your face and just breathe long, slow breaths and stay in the pose? When you feel like you've had enough, of course, you can exhale it away, putting the right foot on the floor as well as the left, and slowly coming on back into your Tadasana. Just have a couple long, slow breaths, and just feel yourself coming home to your breath here. Sometimes it helps to actually put a hand on your heart, and that will remind you of your commitment to 100% presence in your practice. And from here, we're just going to come back to the floor together. So as you will, let's all come from standing right down to the floor. So are you all with me? Coming down to the floor now, just reclining back. And just as we started, we're reclining on the floor now. Just have your full, slow breathing, just to, again, you just keep reminding yourself to come home to that breathing. And we will have a fish pose before we do anything else. It's called Matsyasana, or fish pose. And we can all do this version. So legs are straight, extended out, and elbows come really, really close in. And press down, and the hands, the forearms from the elbows to the hands are just pointing up towards the ceiling. And just a little pressure now into the elbows as you lift the heart, lift the chest a little bit. And you may be able to hold this up. If it doesn't hurt your low back, it's great to do that. Otherwise, it might be best for you just to breathe in and out of it. Inhaling, rising up, really digging into those elbows. And exhaling, releasing. So you're either breathing in and out, or you're just holding. The head's resting on the floor, and your upper part of your chest is lifting off the floor. And you can stay there, or if you'd like to try the full pose, as they call it, you're going to bring your hands, palms down underneath you, and you're really going to bring the arms as much underneath the body as you can. So for me, my hands are all the way past my gluteal muscles, all the way into the thighs, but yours might not be that, just because I've got long arms. So you're just trying to, you still can feel the elbows underneath you, but the arms are really cozied underneath the body here. And the legs are stretched out. Maybe toes can be pointed. For the full pose, you want to press into the elbows and lift the chest, and perhaps you can bring the head more towards the crown of the head. And this one you will not be breathing in and out. If you're not able to hold it for several breaths, then please come to the level I just showed you. This is a wonderful reshaping pose. It might feel a little strange to us because of course we generally have our chest more caved in during the day. So this really helps to encourage the opening in the front of the chest. So maybe focus, you're pressing into the elbows, and maybe you can feel the shoulder blades cozying up closer together behind you. And you're still trying to have long, slow breaths. And if you're in the full version, your throat is very open. And just in your own time, whichever version you're in, you're going to start coming out. So once the arms are back from underneath you, you're going to bend the knees. And just maybe go a little side to side. Little separation in the thighs. It doesn't have to be a lot, but go side to side with the knees. On the exhale, knees go off to one side. And on the inhale, they come back to center. That's lovely. And the next time your knees are to center, let's just go ahead and cross the right ankle over the left knee. Arms are at least a 45-degree angle away from the body. And as you exhale, knee goes to the right. And just see, can you be here just for a few breaths? Really long, slow breaths here. And of course, you're feeling the pull, the stretch on the left side body. Let your breath be really full here. And when you're ready to come up, you want to press a little bit into those elbows, and on an exhale, knees come back to center. You uncross, and then you're going to recross left ankle over right knee. Really long, full breaths, and when you're ready on the exhale, knees are going to come over towards the left. And see if you can encourage the shoulder blade on the right to come to the floor. And with your focus on breathing, also spread that focus out. So can you notice any sensation around the hip joint or the groin on the right side, or anywhere you're feeling it actually? And with this acute awareness, you're just going to have really long, full breaths. And this time, of course, you're feeling it more on the right side body, the sensation, the stretch. When you're ready to come out, you press into the elbows on an exhale and lift the knees back up again. And you're going to uncross, and let's all have a happy baby pose. So your version of happy baby, remember the sort of lovely, easier version would be just to loosely bring your forearms underneath your knees and interlock your hands. And it creates just a little hammock for your legs. And this might be, and then you can just pull a little bit with those forearms and hands. So, and then bring the feet upward. And that might be exactly what you want right now. Otherwise, of course, you know, the full pose would be to wrap your hands around the outside of the legs all the way to the outside of your ankles. And some of you, again, could come all the way to the foot. But choose carefully, because you really want this to feel good. And the purpose to this right now is to broaden out in your lumbar spine. And so just have a few breaths, whatever version you've chosen for yourself, where it feels as though the knees are trying to come a little downward every time you exhale. And you can always introduce just a little movement also, maybe side to side. Important for you just to find what feels good to you right now. So wherever you are in this, we're all going to make our way to Shavasana. Any little final movement you'd like, you can have that now. And just allow yourself to come into Shavasana, where you can really feel the weight settling to the floor. And just allow this to really be a gift to yourself, so don't rush through this part. You're really feeling the heaviness in your body. And you're just allowing the breath to be long and slow. And here, for a few breaths, you're trying to let the exhales now be longer than your inhales. So again, as a reminder, sort of the gold standard is to try to inhale a count of 4 and exhale a count of 8. So that would be inhaling 1, 2, 3, 4, exhaling 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. If that was really difficult, then you'll need to exhale maybe to a count of 6. So try to really hone this to your own breathing ability, but do let the exhales be longer than your inhales for a few breaths. Just go inward here. Just feel your own breathing with the exhales slightly longer than your inhales. In the course of this pranayama, this breath work, you're also trying to let go of tension that might be in the throat and the jaw, anywhere in the body. Just let go of any unnecessary tension. And after about a minute or so of doing that, you might start to feel an urge just to release any control of your breath. And when you feel that, just do exactly that. You're going to let go of trying to have the exhales longer than the inhales. So whatever the breath wants to do, now is the time just to allow that. And with your awareness now, just observe your own breathing pattern. And remember, you're not trying to change it at this point, you're just watching it. And some of you might benefit from a longer Shavasana, in which case you already know you can do that. So you're either continuing on in Shavasana for a few minutes on your own, or you're coming to a seated position if you want to close out with me. And for those of you who are coming along and closing out, you'll want to just let your focus come back gradually. It won't take long. After a few full breaths, you'll start to feel much more focused and grounded. And placing hands to the heart. Namaste. Thank you, and see you in the next video.